The hour is 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors for March the 12th, excuse me, open. If you would please stand and join me for the invocation, and it will be given by Mr. Larry Burkett from Fellowship Baptist Church, and then if you would remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Mr. Burkett.
Stand this way.
Yes, sir.
Our Heavenly Father, I want to thank Thee tonight for Your blessings upon us. I thank Thee for Wytheville, Virginia. Pray that You'll bless and guide and direct in the affairs of this town. Would You give wisdom and direction to this body of men and ladies that have this responsibility. We are absolutely dependent upon Thee. We need Your leadership in every aspect of our lives. And I pray that You'll guide and direct and bless the deliberations tonight. May the Lord Jesus be glorified through the discussions, and pray that the good of the community will be the outcome of it all. Would You guide and direct and bless? May the Lord, may You receive the honor and the glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Now, if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business is citizens' time, and we have one person that has signed up, Ms. Linda Myers, and Ms. Myers has listed two subjects.
Right. I was wondering if there was any outcome or response from cell phone people for service in our Speedwell area.
I know the letters have gone out, but have you had any contact?
Conversation representing USL. Their response is they're evaluating all service areas, and when it becomes profitable to install and service, they will do so.
So they're going to get, is there a time limit? They said they'd be back to you in 6 weeks or a month or 5 years?
Did not. They said when it became profitable, they are evaluating all their cell phone customers based on zip codes, billing, and everything. When it becomes to the point that they justify, I think he said it was close to $1 million investment.
Okay.
To make that happen, then they would come to the area.
Now, are they in cahoots with all the other carriers, or is that just?
You'd have to ask them that question.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah. And
the business world, I believe they're all in cahoots sometimes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
yeah, I love us throwing that word cahoots around. Yeah.
Well, one of those things. I just want to give you guys a heads up on something. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Virginia Outdoor Foundation.
We are.
You are? Well,
Virginia Outdoor Foundation,
yeah.
Conservation Easement.
Right. So they were recently at a local county. They went to a local county board, and they were interested in getting a blessing from that county board to go out and solicit easements from areas within their county. Fortunately, that county board did some homework, and they found out that it was really not such a good idea because of all the restrictions. And of course, they're proposing that you will tax easements and so on. That also is very, very limited, and you may get tax easements. But it might include limitations on division of property, limitations on the size and number of improvements that can be constructed on the property, no build areas. It goes on and on and on. I have a copy here of the foundation guidelines, easements, and I just wanted you guys to know about this, that they are looking for places to get easements from property owners. And if you read this, it goes on and on and on, and it's really not to our benefit to have people do this, because they literally get weaseled out of their private property. So if I can give this to you, and hopefully you can make some copies so you're aware, just in case these turkeys come to Wythe County.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Then I will closed citizens time, and we will begin with the rest of the meeting. And the first is the approval of the minutes for February the 26th, 2013.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for February 26, 2013. Is there any discussion, additions, deletions, changes? Hearing none, then all those in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Then it's 6-0 with one absent. Next order of business is payment of the invoices. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we pay the invoices.
Okay, it's been moved that we pay the invoices. Is there a second?
I see.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, anything that anybody has questions about? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 Aye, 6-0 with one absent. Moving down to old business. This is sort of a little bit of a hybrid, I think, between old and new. But the Barron Springs Waterworks, we are being contacted by the Virginia Department of Health to see if we would be willing to serve as a receivership for the Barron Springs Waterworks and everything that entails. I know that Mr. Dalton emailed an opinion from Mr. Farthing today, and if you didn't get that on the email, you have it right here. Now,
This-
yes.
This is from the Attorney General's office.
I mean, Attorney, it's
Yes,
Scott got in touch with me.
I asked the county attorney to review the letter and to give us some guidelines tonight on what that would really mean if we accepted the request, the offer, whatever you want to call it. It does have some implications that if you accept it, I think the Attorney General has determined that the county is a public water purveyor and has the ability to take over and run the system. Scott's details to me were that you can actually get paid for that. You pay the bills, collect the money. At some point in time, they're working with the current owner, trying to come up with a plan. Either he give it up or develop a plan to come out of receivership. Some of the items I mentioned, Mr. Farthing, if we enter into this, we want to negotiate what our liabilities were right up front, expenditures. And if the state of Virginia feels that we should run it in receivership, then they should partner up with us and pay for some of the costs of testing and other areas that are in arrears and are not current. And he says Scott says that can be negotiated as part of the agreement on receivership. As a receiver, you can actually walk away at any point in time and tell the judge that you just can't make it work. I would ask that this be referred to the Water Committee. Have Mr. Farley come and speak to the Water Committee about it.
Well,
Do we know what that system is? Is there water in the ground down there, or does anybody know? Is it a shortage of wells, or is it lack of maintenance? And we all know he's not in compliance with state law, so.
We know what's on the permit. It says there's a series of 5 wells there, distribution lines of various sizes. uses a couple of septic tanks as reservoirs. Do we have a map by that? I don't, I really, I did ride around down there last Thursday, I guess it was, and we saw a few facilities. They're pretty.
It's kind of a hodgepodge.
Hopefully you're using septic tank generically, you're using concrete tanks
Yep.
for a reservoir.
They are.
Okay.
Cast for septic.
Well, we also will have to look at, we'll have different liabilities if we act as a receiver than if he just turns it over to us.
Exactly.
So I'll direct it, I can direct that to go to the water committee. Okay, I'll direct that goes to the water committee, which will meet, what is it, next Tuesday at morning at 9:30, to explore, what we think is the best thing to do to, yes, please. Okay, so the next other old business.
Let me ask you one more question.
Oh,
on
I'm
that.
sorry.
Is it a possibility you'd contact the folks that brought it to us to start with and let them know what's going on?
People that submitted the petition.
Yeah, I think they deserve to know something's happening. If they've been out of water since November, this would sound like something's happening.
Okay, any other questions or discussions about that?
Thank you.
All right, then any other old business? Seeing none, we will move on to new business, and we will begin with the Building and Grounds report.
Building and Grounds Committee met on March 5th and had 5 items that were on the agenda. One, to approve transfer agreement of Lost Fantasy Stable to Wythe County, the Animal Welfare League, and authorize the county administrator to execute
Okay.
that transfer agreement.
All right. Since it came from the committee, it needs no second. Is there any discussion on that? This is basically the generic agreement. Okay. Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Barry, you look like you.
No, we have agreements in place with them. When we did the last agreement with Humane Society, we added that sentence number 5 that they'll require to follow all requirements of the Virginia Code. We are just updating the agreements with the 2 that we had in place to match so that all of our agreements are the same.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion?
So this is not a new one. We already had an agreement with them.
Okay. All right. Any other? Not then, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And aye. 6-4, none against, 1 absent. Number 2?
To recommend to approve a memorandum of agreement with Mount Rogers Health District about some furnishings and finishing of the space here.
Okay. All right. And again, it needs no second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 Aye. 6-0, 1 absent. Number 3?
Number 3 is to accept the solicited low bid for the Port Chisel EMS and fire station to add a day room, a duty room, and the breakdown was that the initial cost is $16,657. Does not include electrical or floor finishing. The rest of it is, and there was also a time limit put on it that will be on the purchase order. I expect it'll be a purchase order. And the committee recommends accept this in that it was the low bid.
Okay. Again, it needs no second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 Aye, 6-0, one absent.
And number 4, to award the low bid for creative playscapes in the amount of $27,604 for the playground equipment at Rural Creek Lake Campground, and to amend appropriation $8,250 to 7110-48210. And I think some of that was covered by donations also, wasn't it, Mr. Dahl? All of it. So it's just putting the money through to buy it.
Okay. All right. No second needed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 Aye. 6-0, one absent.
Number 5 is to approve change order number 12 for the Wythe County Office Building addition.
Okay. Again, no need for a second. Is there any discussion, questions? All that was listed in your packet. Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 An aye. 6-0, one absent.
And one other thing, Mr. Horny, we're going to ask for clarification on the property question you brought up, and we'll act on that the next time.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Well, what are you going to do with it?
They're wanting to sell it. Well, or what? No, actually, the building, they have gotten a bid for putting a roof on it. So I don't know if they're wanting to put a roof on it or if they're thinking about selling the building and letting whoever buys it fix that and let it be their problem. But basically, they're just trying to either fix the building to where it's going to be a sound building, or they're wanting to get rid of it altogether.
We're talking about Speeble.
Yeah,
Fire
that's
The
a fair
old, the
bill.
old firehouse.
The general discussion, if I'm right, was that make up your mind what you want to do with it, whether you want to declare it surplus property or what you want to do with it. So if you'll get back to the building and grounds committee, we'll take prompt action on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the reason that I can't tell you what they're wanting to do with it is because they've been getting bids, and they just recently got, I think, their first completed bid. They've had two or three other people that's supposed to be giving them bids for putting a roof on it, and they just haven't been able to get the bids back.
So they'll have a decision pretty soon.
I can talk to them and should be able to get you one.
Well, does the county own that building or does the fire department own it?
No, it was all transferred to the county.
That's what I thought, that the county belongs to the county, so it would seem like to me that the county ought to be looking at the bids and seeing what they're getting for the bid, what kind of roof, you know, is it?
The way I understood it from Mr. Horny earlier, the fire department had asked for it to be returned.
Right. So basically, they were wanting it returned to the fire department, to Speeble Fire Department, so that they could do whatever they wanted to with it. Same thing with the old Dodge truck that they've got. Which I know what they're wanting to do with it. They're wanting to sell it and then buy another one to replace it.
Well, we took action on that, didn't
I didn't think we did.
Yeah, I think we did too. I believe I made the motion.
we? Yeah, I think Corey Roberts was a high bidder on it.
Yeah. $100.
They agree with that, sir.
Sir, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Reeves?
Gene, if the fire department fixes it, what do they want to do? You don't have no idea what they want to do with it?
I'll be honest with you, from the way they're talking, I'm thinking they're wanting to sell it and then use the money that they get from it and come down on the property there at the new firehouse and put up some kind of a storage building or maybe like a picnic shelter out back for their chicken barbecue or something like that. All they do is they use it for a little bit of storage and they rent it out to D&L used cars, and he uses it to wash cars in, work on his cars and stuff like that. So, I mean, really, the fire department has no use for it. The biggest thing that the fire department has to it would be just the sentimental value that it was the original firehouse.
But the suggestion as to what would be done with it would come from the Building and Grounds Committee?
I think we need to request a letter from the fire department, just, you know, where we can understand what they actually want to do with the building, what they want us to, are requesting from the board.
I think, if I understand, Mr. Horny, what they're requesting from the board is that we
Turn it back over to them.
turn it back over to them, which would allow them to use it as basically as a resource. Whether it's
Well,
yeah.
If that's the case, you know, I think the board should just recommend surplusing it and selling it, and then if they want to request the money that comes out of it to build a picnic shelter or something like that, then we could consider that.
Well, would it be okay with the board if I refer that to the Building and Grounds Committee to discuss, to see, to make specific recommendations as to how we want Spiegel to handle it?
I'd like to have a formal letter from the fire department that requesting, you know, telling us exactly what they're wanting.
Yeah, I'd like to address that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We're backsliding here. If the county owns that property and if they want to build a shelter out there, let them tell us what they want to do, and we should assist them in doing that. But this giving back pieces and stuff like that, we're getting right back in the same quagmire we were in before.
And that's exactly why I'd like for it to go to the Buildings and Grounds, so that the three people on the committee can discuss it and come back with a clear, concise recommendation to the board. Mr. Dalton.
Can we request that members of the fire department attend that 8 o'clock meeting?
That's on the first Tuesday.
Yes, it's April 2nd.
All right,
Would that be?
that'll work.
Okay. Mr. Reeves, is that okay
Yeah,
with you?
that's fine with me.
Okay.
That's good with me.
That's it, thank you.
Okay. All right, anything
Good
else
with me.
from Building and Grounds? Yes, sir.
Chief, do I need to write the fire department a letter inviting them?
Either, whichever way you want to do it, if you want to write them a letter, or I can just tell them. If you think it'd look better coming from in a letter form, that'll be fine too.
I think if the county would write a letter, and then Gene, you can tell them too.
We'll do the letter.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving along to Economic Development Committee report.
If I may back up,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Horning, on the truck, our idea was to put it on gov.deals, that's where we made the most money.
Okay.
Everybody can bid on it. It's open, fair, internet bid.
And that is truck only, Gene, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, Now, let me ask you a question. I mean, the money that's received for it, I mean, will that go to the fire department, or will it just go to the county, or will it be?
Discussions we had was that the surplus, that money be used towards the next truck or whatever people intended to use it.
Well, I was gonna say, because I know that's what they were gonna do, is they were wanting to use that money to buy another truck to replace it. That truck's just not heavy enough to hold that big tank, especially when you put the water in it. You go down the road looking at the stars.
Okay. I hesitate to say anything else.
Oh, you're doing good.
Okay, nothing else from Building and Grounds. Okay, let's move along to the Economic Development Committee report.
I'll go ahead and give that report. We had 3 things in Economic Development Committee that we're recommending. The first, to adopt the amendment to the Financial Assistance Award, which authorizes the sale of Lot 30 and the inland port for industrial use.
Okay, that comes from the committee. It needs no second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
An aye. 6-0, 1 absent.
Okay, second recommendation is to authorize approval of change order number 3 in the amount of $57,500. This change order is for the site development on Lot 24.
Okay, no second needed. Is there any discussion?
Since I wrote that, maybe a little clarification. We're going to take the material from Lot 24 and develop Lot 30, a building pad that we currently have some interest on.
Okay, again, what's on the floor is to authorize approval for change order number 3 in the amount of $57,500, and it's change order for site development on Lot 24. Any other discussion?
And that does not require any appropriation, amendment appropriation. We have adequate funds already appropriated.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
An aye. 6-0, 1 absent.
And then the last recommendation, to authorize Mid-Atlantic Broadband Cooperative to include Progress Park in its Giga Park marketing initiative. A sign will be provided to post at the park entrance at the park, and the park will be included on Giga Park's interactive map and website. This initiative was funded by the Virginia Tobacco Commission. So the sign is no cost to the county, and it just lists Progress Park as one of the technology parks, one of the 60, I think, technology parks in Southern Virginia.
Okay. Again, no second. Any discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll have roll call vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 And aye. 6-0, 1 absent. Next is from the Insurance Committee report.
Mr. Chairman, the Insurance Committee consists of Mr. Crockett, Mr. Willis Lamont from DSS, myself, and Dr. Lee Brennan from the school systems met March 6, 2013, and we recommend renewing with local choice for plan year 2013-2014, offering Key Advantage 500 plan, allowing employees, if they so choose, to buy up the Key Advantage expanded. Due to the rate increase, 9.5% to 97.5%, the committee further recommends that the Board of Supervisors pay 95% of the total premium, which would require the employee to pay $12.45 per pay period, or $24.90 per month.
Okay. And what What did the county pay last year? I don't remember.
453 or 454?
Okay.
455.
Okay. Now, that was not a committee made up of board members, so it will, we'll need a motion to accept this.
So move.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Now, am my understanding this, as far as health insurance this year, they'll have to pay the $24.90 a month,
Beginning in September.
September?
September. The plan is to run October 1 until September 30. Beginning September 1, you'll have 12.45 per pay period taken out of the check. We currently pay the full 4.55. The total increase to the county, if we pay, the county picked up the total amount was almost $100,000. This rate, the employees paying almost exactly half of the increase. And currently, the school systems employees have already paid 4 or 5 or 6% towards this. Their portion will increase, and they'll take on a little bit more of their premium also. This renewal, this rate is only for Board of Supervisors, constitutional officers, and DSS.
Any other discussions or questions?
Are we going to be able to give pay raises enough that these people won't lose money come September? Be taking home less money?
And all constitutional officers get a 3%, that's mandated by the General Assembly. School teachers get a 2%. In your budget discussions, the 35 or 40 of us that are left, you'll decide. But on the constitutional officers and school system, I think that 2% and 3% are already there. That's by the General Assembly.
Yeah.
And
I just don't want us to give somebody a raise and then them turn around and charge them their insurance and they end up getting a raise but take less money home.
That's the way it works in
In private sector.
most places.
But now,
I'll just say that.
we will need to do this now to enter into the budget discussions.
We have to have it back to the local choice plan, which is state of Virginia, administered prior to April 1st. The school board meets tomorrow.
Okay.
We're part of that, so we have to agree to it prior to the school board. The school board will vote on it tomorrow.
This does not affect county employees. It just affects Board of Supervisors, DSS, and constitutional, is that-
Constitutional and school board.
and school board, but not county employees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It affects everybody.
Because they are listed under
The
the,
Board of
Board of
Supervisors.
Supervisors,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
how much,
So-
what'd you say it was last year that we paid?
455, Mark, they gave it for one hand.
And I mean, they're going up 9 point whatever.
And this year it's going to go to 473.10.
Now, plus the 25, it's 498.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The
Our
explanation of
expense.
that, we actually, the insurance committee actually looked at the numbers. We expended or used close to $1 million more than we paid in. We are almost a self-insured group. We're in the big group with several 100,000 people. The group actually took out I think it's $340-some thousand out of the group and put it into our pool to defer our cost down. If we were really paying the full cost, it'd be 15 or 16%.
Any other discussion, questions?
So we're really paying the difference from 455 to 473.
So we're gonna pay $18.10 a month per employee more, and they're gonna pay the $24.90.
Yeah.
Both sides are paying, we're paying more than we did this year.
Right, I
And
understand
they're
that.
paying, of course, more.
If they pay anything,
They're
they're
paying
paying
more.
more.
Okay.
But we did some comparison, and Dr. Brandon, you know, the town currently pays 92%. We were one of the few that paid 100% throughout the region. And even at this, we're still paying less than just about any of our comparables around. And at some point, healthcare, it's just actually some of this cost is the administration of the new federal care system that you're paying towards too, the administration of that. And next year this time, Gene, we actually may be in the penalty phase of this and sending money to a pool to pay for people to buy healthcare. You've probably seen the heyday of healthcare for employees. You'll be looking at a huge increase next year.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0, 1 absent.
Mr. Houseman, if I may, sort of dodge Gene's question, but we've looked at the lowest paid employee in the county, full-time person. They want to, if you accept the proposal from the staff, will not see a deduction of that.
But by knowing this now, that'll help us in our budgetary discussion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, moving along, our next bit of business is Hope Ministries, and I think that this is a request for, is it a deferral or a refund, or how do we phrase that?
Actually, it has to be a donation. We can't
Donation.
reimburse anybody for their taxes or defer their taxes. If the board would like to make a donation to a nonprofit, the Code of Virginia allows it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we make a donation of $2,212.76 to Hope Ministries.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 Aye. 6-0, 1 absent.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if
sir.
I may, Mr. Hall had asked at our last budget meeting to prepare a list of all items such as this. At our next budget meeting, we will have that list to go over, and each one of these will be considered separately for next year in the budget. I think there's a group of 15 or 20 or so places that we make donations.
Mhm. Okay. Next is the Mount Rogers Planning District Commission Indoor Plumbing Rehabilitation Program. And
It's more for, I guess, information, the state of Virginia has, we've used CERCAP forever to be able to plumbing, build some state of Virginia has decided they've combined all areas of the state. The Mount Rogers PDC and Lenowisco are going to combine together for this southwest region and make application to be the provider. What we've agreed to is they don't build homes or indoor plumbing. They will continue to use sub-recipients such as CERCAP for working with county or other local people to do that. So while we'll have a different administrator of the program, the work will still be done. There's really no action by the board. Later on, they will ask us for a letter of support.
Okay, is there any other new business? Anything? Okay, were there any questions about the informational package?
On the informational package, I went over that extensive report from the filtration plant, and I'm sure that the Water Committee and Mr. Dalton, is page after page of that. Was that a good report?
It was.
I thought so.
They predict the future, but I would assume that the new regional water authority will be one of the localities or water treatment plants that will be selected as the best water in Virginia this year.
Okay.
For that size plant, for 4 million gallons.
Is there any other business to come before the board? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Then this meeting is adjourned.